What's up, Warriors of Truthful? Season 6 has been live for about a month and a half, and you know we've got some thoughts. From game design and quality of life features, bugs, itemization, and everything in between, this video is a collaboration of feedback from myself, my community, and some other players. This video and document will be sent to Panic Art Studios for the review, but before it is, I want to hear from my YouTube community, so hit that like button, drop your own feedback in the comments, and let's make this game better together. If you're new here, I'm Graxy. I make Hero Siege related content, including build guides, class showcases, educational videos, and much more. I also stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/Graxy_TV. Come by and say hello. Would love to have you. Let's get started. Of course, I will have a link to this feedback document in the description of this video, so you're welcome to read through it yourself, or if you would like ChatGPT to read it to you instead of me, you're more than welcome to do that. I will be maybe a bit rambly in this video. This isn't scripted. I'm just kind of going through and I want to get all my thoughts out and really talk about things. So going in no particular order, we have challenges, players achieving the first 100 in multiple game modes or characters. It's pretty self-explanatory. I don't think this is a big deal for game modes because there's a lot of like the SSF game modes, but I feel like for regular softcore trade and hardcore trade, players that achieve these first 100s are able to just go on another character and get power leveled and then hit first 100 on that second character. When there's players that had to start fresh at level 1 and like get through the game that are trying to hit first 100 and then somebody gets power leveled and beats them, it sucks, right? It feels cheaty. Like you feel cheated out of that first 100 because somebody else got power level to it, right? And they don't get anything for it. It's not like they're getting another portrait or something. So it doesn't make sense to have people get first 100 in multiple characters or on multiple characters. Also, I've talked about this in the past with unfair competition between beta and non-beta players. We should not be able to get first 100. Beta players should not be able to get first 100s. I know that there's patch notes for people to read. I know that there's content out there. I know that I stream it on Twitch. I understand all that information is available. It doesn't matter. Like when I read a patch note and I see, Demon Slayer got a 10% damage scaling buff node. Okay, well, yeah, but there's a difference between reading that and actually playing a Demon Slayer for a month, right? So yeah, beta testers should just not be able to win any of these first 100s. I feel like it takes away from the players that actually are trying to race with each other, right? Seasonal challenges to complete for rewards over wormholes. This is really a preference. I don't like wormholes. I've been pretty open about this. I just don't like wormhole content. I haven't gone into wormhole content in like all of Hero Siege 2. I have never earned a seasonal achievement. I always have a character that can do it. I have the damage. I just don't enjoy the content, so I just never get seasonal rewards. I think it would be really cool to have like an achievement list that people go through. Like, I don't know, use 1,000 Bifrost keys. That might be too many, but use an X amount of Bifrost keys. Use kill Indrixia, the new boss in Uber Gardens. Kill her 250 times, and just like things like that. Go kill Luna and Inferno. Just different like challenges that people complete, and once they hit a certain amount of the challenges, say there's a total of 30 challenges, they hit 10 of those, cool, here's your reward. You hit 20, here's your reward. You hit 30, and 30 should take you time. It should take you more than just getting to wormhole 100, actual like goals within the season. It also keeps people in the season and engaged with it because they're looking at an achievement list and going, oh shit, like I can do this and this. And I think it also kind of helps teach players that are new, like, oh wait, there's like all this content, like open the new chaos pillar thing, like hit 5,000 pillars or some shit like that, some crazy number. And they go, oh, what are chaos pillars? What's Ruby Gardens? What's Bifrost? It gets them asking those questions in their head because they see that achievement list for the season journey. That's cool too. As well as I kind of wish there was other races other than the first 100. Like, there's a lot of SSF hardcore events that happen in other games. Those have prize pools. It doesn't have to be a prize pool. It could just be, a glory thing, or maybe you make another portrait for them that's like a really nice golden portrait or something, that they were the first one to kill like Luna and Inferno or something like that. Whatever it may be, just some SSF hardcore racing could be really cool as well. Moving on to game design and mechanics. We were talking about this in my stream yesterday, additional content, additional alternative content. People feel like there's just not a lot of alternative content to do, right? And obviously with the Chaos Pillars coming and the rework on the Ruby Garden boss and having zones be more target farming now, which I think is a much bigger deal than maybe people are giving credit to that for, because a lot of people are just like either 3-3 or don't play, right? And I think they're going to realize that being in 3-3 a lot and not trying to target farm their own heroics, especially if they're playing SSF or even in a Blood Pact, it's such a waste of their time. Obviously, getting scrolls out of 3-3 is still a strong thing. And the Chaos Pillars can now drop the scrolls of Raw, which is a big plus. But maybe there could be some more ways of getting certain things from other content. So yeah. Now another cool thing with the pillars, we were talking about this, is that they could drop a pillar exclusive material that has like a couple affixes on it that you use to create your own pillar. So each material would roll with a monster skill and a type to make a mob tougher to kill. So if you wanted to make like a boss parts one, you could stack a bunch of just boss parts chance instead of it being, the 10% chance to get boss parts. Maybe you make one with 5 and now it's a 45% chance to get boss parts, right? Another one is orbs. I haven't seen one for chance to drop orbs. Maybe there is that there and I've missed it. And I also haven't seen a chaos pillar for chance to drop codexes. But I mean, that could be a cool additional way. So that's like an exclusive material to that content that would pull people out of other things like running 3-3 to go run zones to get these chaos pillars. Another thing I want to put here, this is my opinion. I kind of don't like how the pillars all spawn together, right? I don't mind that if there's like a couple of them with each other, but if they're gonna spawn, say 5 or 6 pillars, they're all like right on top of each other, right? I kind of would wish the strong boxes were a bit more spaced out within a zone so that you actually have to run the zone. That's obviously on me. Some people are going to prefer being all together so they can just run and try and find all the pillars really quick and hit all the pillars and then vote reset. I personally think that it should be a bit more common to get them, but they're a bit more spread out, right? Rework Act 1 quests to show players basic game mechanics. This is a huge one, actually, because a lot of the questing in Hero Siege, we don't really need to do them. We just skip all the questing anyway. So this could be a really great way to new players that are coming in that have all these questions. I can't tell you how many times I have been asked, can I unsocket these runes out of my items? Or can I roll sockets? Or can I, all the different crafting recipes? Or how do I make a rune word? What is a rune word? All of that sort of stuff can be built into like Act 1 questing, where the quests actually give you the items, right? Maybe you have them make a shadow, right? And I think shadow is level 17 at the lowest one, at the lowest level. Maybe you could make like a quest state one, or maybe just lower the level requirement of shadow, whatever you want to do. But basically give them the items to socket. It doesn't even have to be a rune word. It could be maybe early on you show them with like gems and stuff, how to put gems in an item, and you give them the item, just like a random white item. And like maybe it could be a white pair of boots with one socket, and you have them socket that one thing in there, and then give them the runes to remove that gem from it, and just that sort of thing, right? Just basic things about the game could be taught in Act 1, as well as just like little pop-ups. All right, that's one thing I've noticed in other games, especially Torchlight Infinite. That's one that I played recently. A lot of times for like the tutorial stuff, you'll have like little pop-ups that will explain, hey, this is how this works. Hey, this is how this works. Runes, you can socket into items. You can take these runes out by doing this. Just like little pop-ups here and there that explain things to people as they're playing. So that could be a good way to help the new players. Luna Quest should not end on a failed encounter. Instead, block drops after failure. So basically what this means is if I go get my Luna Quest, right? I complete it. I go back into Luna. There's my portal. I'll go into my portal. I go fight Luna. I die. My quest shouldn't end. I should just have to go get another Luna, right? The negative side of that is I have to go spend Bifrost keys to go get another Luna to go try that fight again. I shouldn't just lose my quest state in the item because of that. Also, the Vanaheim portal should have a map indicator. Can't tell you how many times that even like I've killed and hit my number, and because I have off-screen projectiles, or I don't know where the hell I killed the monster at, I have to go like circle the whole area and try and find my portal. And sometimes it blends in. It just would be so much easier if it had a map indicator and if it had a sound. Maybe it does have a sound. And I guess I turned my sounds off. Maybe it does have a sound. But it's just something to help indicate. Maybe even a pop-up that says Vanaheim portal ready with a map indicator. Something like that, right? Because even just in regular gameplay, you'll be running through and sometimes you don't even think about it. You just like your quest log completes and you just don't even notice it because you're blasting. So maybe having just even like a pop-up that jumps in the screen could be a good option too. Like at the top middle, it says Vanaheim portal ready or completed, whatever. Unlocking Inferno should be account wide. This is a thing that came up in my Twitch chat. I disagree. I don't think that Inferno should, or really any difficulty should be account wide. However, for Inferno specifically, I think that a quest state version that requires less materials could be a really good way to combat. You know, there's an issue here. Some people enjoy that the game has the grind, right? And some people, especially with blood packs and stuff, they're kind of actually enjoying the grind. Not so much in softcore trade, right? Or if you're a bit more of a casual player, getting enough materials to get to Inferno. And I understand that it's aspirational content and that it should be a grind, but there's a difference between something that's a grind and something that's almost impossible for certain players, right? And it for them feels extra bad because there's, you know, maybe a build they want to play, but they have to get content or items from Inferno in order to make that build, and they can't because they're just gated by time, essentially. So I think it'd be a really cool way to combat this is the quest state version, where basically every time you kill Reaper, you're guaranteed a quest state soul, essentially. Same thing for Damien, same thing for who is it, Sung Lee, right? You always get a quest state version, and then you can make a quest state Gabriel, right? And say you go into Gabriel and you lose that fight, you should be able to go once again to those 3 bosses and get quest state version. Basically, you're always able to get a 1 orb quest state version of it that you can, you know, complete that content with. And then maybe the same thing for Amun-Ra. I mean, honestly, 50 scrolls isn't that hard to get. I don't even think Amun-Ra needs to change at all. Any of the requirements, the 50 scrolls takes no time at all to do. I did have technically some increased drop rates for scrolls whenever I did it in my blood pact, but I did it in like 2 hours. I got 50 scrolls in like 2.5 hours. I don't think the scrolls are any issue whatsoever. It's really just Gabriel that people have the main problem with when it comes to Inferno. So I think that could be a good way to help combat that. Yeah. Show the amount of break of a monster inflicted with break. This one is super important. People don't know what break is. Anytime I'm talking about break, or I've seen it in chat a lot, people think that break has to do with resistances because it kind of makes sense, right? Like you think of the word break, you think like you're breaking a monster's resistance, not that they're like cursed and taking more damage. As well as, I don't know how much break is actually on that monster. I think there's some situations where break will stack with some skills and sometimes it doesn't, and it gets a little confusing as to whether it would be more damage or make sense to take certain sub skill points or whatever, because you just don't know if things stack. It'd be a good way for players to be able to test the different sub skill setups on the dummies so they know like, hey, oh shit, these stack together, this interaction is really cool. Even in the beta, sometimes like it's hard for us to even be able to tell like what stacks and what doesn't stack because there's nothing that indicates, you know, how much break is on that monster. So, add the ability to 5-to-1 glyphs. Could work the same way it does with codexes. Basically, you prospect a glyph, it turns into a glyph page, and then you can roll for another glyph. This is really for SSF, right? I don't think this is as big of an issue in trade. But it's still a cool way, even with blood packs and stuff, or just players in general being able to prospect their glyphs and have a chance at a new one. Personally, I don't think that prospecting glyphs for XP does absolutely anything. You get what, like 50 essence or something per glyph? Like, it's actually useless. I don't do it. I throw them on the ground, or just give them to people that don't have better ones. So maybe, yeah. Also having the ability to transfer a glyph's experience to another one, which is with a reduced amount of XP. Maybe you have a level 6 loot glyph that has, whatever amount of XP. It has 80% quality on it, and you find a 95, and you're like, oh shit. You transfer your XP from that one to the other one, but you only get half the XP, or quarter, whatever the amount is, just to help juice it up so you're not losing all of the EXP, right? This could incentivize players to this incentivizes players to like use lower tier glyphs, because right now you find even like a loot glyph that's 50%, even in that situation, I mean, you might still use it, but you're not going to level it, right? You're just going to throw it on just because it has some chance, but you'll never put XP into it. This will incentivize people to find their glyph and like still put juice in it if it's decent enough, right? Until they can find a better one. Mercenary improvements, they should follow the player properly. Mercenaries are all over the place. Their pathing is kind of meh, right? You have an aura design if there's flawed due to a desync with the player. So in a lot of situations, I'll be running around. I'll have the Aura's aura. I don't know why I can't think of it. Aura's might, right? I'll have Aurora's might on, and it's aura that's giving me resistance. Half the time, I don't even have that aura because my character's too fast, right? So I don't know if it's a situation of it's just not following you properly, or if maybe we just need to make the aura, I don't want to say zone wide, but like much bigger, because like I said, it's not on me half the time. That's why I don't make Aurora's might. It's useless. Allow mercs to wear necklace, belts, and rings. Somebody mentioned this in the chat. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Like, I do like the idea of giving them jewelry. My concern with giving them like jewelry, gloves, boots, that sort of thing is they just become bigger MF bots. Right now, we don't really have a merc meta that gives mercs the ability to actually like fight monsters and deal damage and like be a part of your character's damage, really, right? Or give it any utility other than just stack as much Magifying on it as you can. I feel like that's all this would do. Merc summons should not flag you as in combat. I don't think that Merc flags you as in combat anymore. Summons definitely do. But this prohibits the ability to use certain portals. Unfortunately, I think minions are going to have to flag you as in combat, and totems are in the same spot. Like, you'll have a totem out and you'll be on the other side of the map, right? And your totems are still hitting enemies. I mean, I guess you can astral intellect them to move them to try to stop it, but it gets a little bit annoying. Yeah. Break terminology is confusing. Also, instead of using the word break to signify that the monster is taking increased damage, you could change it to something like frailty, right? Again, break is a confusing term. Most people think that it has something to do with resistances, so it could be worth you just change it to a different word completely. Start leveling is very popular amongst the players for balance reasons. Maybe bring it back with non-satanic plus items. Would be especially cool to have in a no unique blood pack. So people have been talking about star leveling since it's been removed. I feel like it could be cool to bring back, but it's only being able to use on like mythics and lower instead of being able to be used on satanics and higher. Might be a cool way to get to see people use some of these mythic items. Add a dice that is safer than a satanic dice, like an angelic dice that has no corruption. So basically, add a divine orb that has a much lower drop rate that guarantees that you'll get the roll and not brick your item instead of taking the gamble. UI and accessibility. So item comparison UI on a hotkey. Whenever you're looking at an item, being able to maybe press Alt, like Control Alt, will allow you to compare your weapons to each other. You can see them side by side. Show item graphics on the ground. This should be a toggleable feature. Some people want to actually see the items graphic, right? Whenever you're on the ground label. I've had that come up a couple of times. I don't care either way. But I could see why that would help them like learn to reference, you know, certain items to certain affixes. Add an "Are you sure" prompt to the apply to all in the loot filter. This is actually kind of important. I can't tell you how many times I've been in streams, especially for like the newer players and just people in general, and they'll like click on all their affixes and they'll go to hit apply to like click the right one, and they hit the wrong one. They hit apply to all and they brick their entire filter from hitting apply to all because there's no "Are you sure" button. So having an additional prompt there is definitely needed. Improve UI runeword improve UI for runeword codexes. Yeah, so whenever you're in the journal and you look under codexes, right? If you're looking at Goblin Horde, it only like sometimes it'll prop up with a image that only has 4 holes in it, right? Or 2 holes in it, or 3 holes in it on a rune word that needs 5. So that's a bit confusing. Allow stash access while inventory is open. So if you're in the game and you have your stash open, you're looking through your stuff, you can't go up to your in-game stash and click on it and your inventory go down and your in the stash inventory go up, or just open up the stash inventory. You have to close your main inventory, then click on the stash. A charm rotator gold sink. This one came up last season. I think Little Bro mentioned it, and people have just mentioned it in general, where you could have the ability, instead of having a 2x1, you could pay money to change it, just rotate them in different directions. So it could be a way to gold sink. Hotkey for swapping talent pages. This has obviously come up a lot, and I've thought about it. Initially, I thought it's not that big of a deal. Just open up your thing and press the button, and like I can understand for like certain reasons why you wouldn't want that. But now that I think about it more and more, there's no disadvantage to it, right? But all it's really doing is eliminating the fact that I have to press a button and then click a button and then click another button. It's like it's removing three key presses whenever I want certain skills for certain reasons. Like maybe I have some single target thing that I need to deal with. I could just press a button on my keyboard and it would swap everything in my sub skill trees, my skills. I could deal with that and then swap back. So maybe a way that you can help with this is put a cooldown on it so that you can't just like spam between them. So maybe add like a 5-second or a 10-second cooldown. So maybe you're going up to a boss and you want to switch, you can hit that and it'll switch, allow you to kill the boss, and then you could switch back on the next vote reset. That way, again, people aren't just click back and forth. And going with that is adding a gear armory, or adding a secondary gear page to gear swapping. One thing that really sucks on some characters is swapping relics, right? Sometimes maybe I'm playing, good example, I'm playing Orb Frost Jotun, right? And that's my clear skill. And I'm like, shit, dude, I wish I had single target, and the melee version of Jotun has good single target, but I can't play melee because I'd have to change all of my gearing and my relics aren't set up for crit. So I literally can't play that on this character. I'd have to change the entire build. So having an ability, I don't know how hard an armory would be. I also don't know like what complications come with that. But an armory could be an awesome thing for people to switch between gear sets, especially for relics. Relics is a big deal. Toggle for hiding specific satanic plus items via filter. Excuse me. This is basically, I could actually put this down in the loot filter section. I don't know why it's in here. But basically, this is just being able to hide certain satanics, right? Maybe I don't want to see Ward of Bloods anymore. Maybe I don't want to see a specific satanic. There could be like a giant list of all of the satanic plus that I can go through and check and uncheck the ones that I do and don't want to see in the actual loot filter. An in-game item price checker. This has come up a lot. I know people have talked about it in general chat a bunch. I'm back and forth on the price checker. There's a lot more complications that come with the price checker than people think, right? Overall, I think a price checker is healthy for the game in terms of players being able to check item prices. but obviously that can it can be a negative thing too. So I don't think this is like a game must have sort of situation, but it could be a good feature, a good quality of life. Speaking of other quality of life, ability to change what commodities the companion auto loots. Once I have a certain amount of like old runes or old runes, like I don't want my companion going and gathering more old runes. Like I will never use the 100 that I have, so I want to be able to just turn that off. So it'll much help the companion's functionality, right? The companion will go to things that I actually wanted to pick up. Like I don't want it to be picking up a lot of gems anymore, right? Like these smaller commodities that I have hundreds and hundreds of, like I waste of the companion's time, right? Also, adding a search function in the journal. I've been saying this now for like 3 or 4 seasons. The journal needs a fucking search function, especially me. Whenever I go into weapon, oh, this one drives fucking in. Whenever you go into weapons and it sorts the weapons by the weapon type first, but there's no category anywhere. There's not like at the top where it says, hey, these are all the swords, and these are all the maces, and these are all the wands, and these are all the, so that you can like even see whenever it's switching over. Or more specifically, you go and sort it, the weapons by name, and it does sort them by name, but it still keeps them in their category of the different weapon types. Fucking kill me, bro. So honestly, just having a search function in the journal is the best way to fix all of this. But even just fixing the weapons part of it as well, to not sort by weapon type. If I'm sorting by a name, it should just be sorting by name only. Yeah, search functionality is what I want. Blue filters. The ability to filter specific affixes by their tier. Again, we've talked about this in the past. I understand how much work this would be, because you would have to, like, there's affixes now, but you would have to assign values to those affixes and like build that into the game. And I can, in my head, I can see how much work that is. I don't think that is necessarily needed right now. But I think a really good middle ground here is if you could actually go into your loot filter in the highlight section and you could click, I don't know, maybe you click mana, right? And you can assign a minimum value to mana so that you're only going to see mana if it's 40 or higher, right? So instead of having a tier base, you just tell the player to assign a minimum value, be highlighted. When it would be just for every affix that they have selected. It would be a pain in the ass to set up, right? But once it's set up, it would do wonders. Like, it would be great. And it could be a situation where players could make filters that, you know, that they would send out to the community. It would just, I don't know. I feel like overall, like even that right there could be massive for loot filters going into, as well as having the ability to only show highlighted items. This would work fine, but you would have to add sockets as part of the highlight. So maybe early on in the game, I want to see, you know, 3 socket boots, for example. It doesn't matter what else is on them. I just want to see 3 socket boots, and I want it to highlight just because it has 3 sockets on it. And then later on, I could take that off and then have it only show highlighted items, so that, you know, if a +5 all skills boot drop, that's what's being highlighted. But then it also has 3 sockets on it, right? But I'm not highlighting it because it had 3 sockets, right? So it would have to have both, but just having the ability to only show highlighted items, this in combination with the minimum value assignment, I think these two together would do so much for loot filters going into the next season, if they could possibly make it into the next, right? Very, very, very cleaning up filter. Obviously, you know, giving it the more depth by their tier, I think is the best option, but I know how much work that can be. And I feel like this part would be like one change essentially that you would add to every single stat, right? Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know how it all works, but that, in my mind, that's how it works. As well as custom sounds provided by the player, custom highlight colors. Obviously, that, you know, it's just that little bit extra customization that people enjoy. They like having their own fart sounds or whatever. And being colorblind, I would like the ability to change the color. I don't like the current highlight color and the current satanic color. They're practically the same to me. Again, I understand that I have dummy eyes, so but being able to just change them in general would be nice. And then we talked about toggling for getting rid of certain satanics. All right, moving on to game and UI bugs. Somebody mentioned with Linux and Proton clients cannot host lobbies, right? They want you to eliminate the ability for Proton clients to host lobbies. They bug too often with server timeouts. I don't know what the hell a Proton client is. I have no clue. But somebody mentioned they're like, yo, me and my buddy, they play on Linux and he's some like Proton shit and he's constantly crashing and blah blah blah. But whenever he joins his Linux buddy, he has no problems. I don't know. Either way, he's just mentioned he's like, hey man, can you tell them to like not let Proton clients host because they crash too much? Okay, sure. Satanic Zone 30-minute bug. If you guys didn't know, every 30 minutes is when the Satanic Zone is supposed to be. Like that was the change last season. But after 30 minutes, you can choose to not remake your game, and it continues for the full hour until the new hour makes a new one. Or at 30 minutes, you can remake your game and you get a new Satanic Zone. Honestly, this might be a bug, but we in the community, we actually like it. Like most people that I've talked to about it, or that we brought it up, most people are like, bro, I really like that feature where it's like if I have a shitty one, I can go get another one, or if I have a really good one or just a good one in general, I might have to gamble. Like it's giving players choice, which I think is good, right? They have to decide, oh, do I want to take a gamble and maybe get something a little bit better, or is this good enough for me to blast for the next half hour, right? And it depends, right? People have different goals. Maybe your Satanic Zone has like one heroic note on it and XP. It has like 40% XP or some dumb shit, right? And you're like, oh wow, I really want to keep that 40% XP. It's like, oh, do I want to gamble this 40 XP right now because I really need that to get my hero levels so I can get more charms, or do I want to, right? I like how it just gives you that choice. Flame turrets in the Chaos Towers stay active after the round ends. I believe this was fixed. Yeah, I believe this was fixed actually. Grimbone doesn't attack post pincer if it's standing close. Grimbone doesn't drop loot if re-entered with another key in the same instance. Scrolls of Ra, Coliseum fragments are not listable or searchable in the auction house, right? As if we can't sell Scrolls of Ra or Coliseum fragments. Hopefully that gets added to the auction house. It's Scrolls of Ra have been like that now for 2 seasons. So hopefully we can get both of these added into the auction house. People do trade them anyway, right? It's not like they're account bound. At least right now they're not account bound or something. So should be no reason we can't get those in the auction house. Mailbox shows gold with no sales. Yep. Pillars of Fire and Chaos Towers do no damage. I believe that the Pillars of Fire stuff was fixed. I might be crazy here. Opacity bar doesn't affect many skills or minions. So whenever you turn down the opacity of transparency, it doesn't affect some skills and minions. Obviously, this would need a full investigation done on which ones need that fix. I don't know which ones they are. It wouldn't take too long, right? If we got maybe we took a day and we took, I don't know, a person for each class or something to kind of go through and write down which ones are and aren't being affected by opacity. Right, I could see that being possible. Like one person going through all 24 classes and marking it, like that would take forever. But I feel like if we had a few people on it, it wouldn't take very long. But there are definitely quite a few of these that the opacity doesn't affect them. Group play in Ruby Gardens falsely shows all players as ready. Lightning effects of Stormweaver's spell darken visuals excessively in dark and cold zones. So when you're in like a dark zone or like a darker cold zone, the lighting underneath, it's like really, really bright apparently. I actually really like it. I don't know if this is really a bug. Somebody mentioned this. Yeah, I don't really think it's a bug. I think that's intended. Like a lot of the skills that you go in there in like those darker zones, they light up the area. That's what it's supposed to do. Actually, I'm gonna remove this. I actually like this, even if it is a bug. It's cool. Equipping a potion sometimes breaks the item from use until reset. This is in the beta right now, actually. If you put on a potion, a satanic potion, you can't use the potion until you vote reset or make another game for whatever reason. I don't know if anybody's reported that. I was going to check. All right, moving on to combat and feedback. Shotgunning damage from like jail officers, spectral colossus, cyclops goliath is too high. There should be a delay between the hits. Magic resistant affixes is oppressive, unlike physical. It's too oppressive. The magic resistance affixes, especially early on, is quite hefty. Aimbot.exe should not affect movement skills or non-damaging skills. I actually put this in the wrong spot. I'm gonna put this down in items. But yeah, aimbot should not affect movement skills or non-damaging skills. You're trying to teleport with certain skills, and it's such a pain in the ass. Yeah, market and economy. Add multi-affix filter support to the market. I'll be honest with you, I don't trade at all. I really don't know what the state of the marketplace is right now with being able to filter from multiple affixes. Couldn't tell you. But apparently I've had this come up a few times with people. They're like, and you tell them to add multi-affix filter support. I'm like, okay, yeah, enough people have talked about it. I don't trade enough to know. Add claim all and delete read button functionality to the mailbox. Introduce market for blood packs. This one I wanted to bring up because I think this was talked about because there was like a networking cost factor that's just too great for you guys right now. For Panic Hour Studios at the time. So especially when you can still trade one-to-one, I don't think you really need market trading. Like they're trying to create the situation like with PoE leagues where in a PoE league, there's still the website that they can post stuff in their sellable tabs, right? And that goes up on the website, and then they can select their Pact or their private league on the website and trade with 300, 400 thousands of other players in these private leagues. I don't think that many people are going to be on 250 player blood packs, right? There's not going to be that many people that are doing that because it's quite a cost every couple of weeks. I'd imagine it's probably a couple $100 every 2 weeks. I just don't see a lot of people doing that, nor do I see a lot of people having that many friends, right? Knowing that many people. Like there's obviously going to be content creators and streamers, and there's definitely some groups that will come together and make them, sure. But I just don't see this being needed that much. Most blood packs I think are going to be between that 50 and 100 people, which is still a lot of people. And I can see even with that amount that having like a market to be able to trade with other players with stuff could still be nice. Even if you're not like trading where you're trying to create your own economy within the private league. Just being able to put stuff up there for like one goal, just so people can go up to the market and like pick items that way instead of trying to search through the entire blood pack stash. Either way, I just remember that the like actually creating this was way too much of a pain in the ass, and that's where we're like, well, you don't have to create a market for the private league. You can just give them a stash tab, right? Like a shared stash tab between the blood pack, which is what we have now, right? I think that's more than fine. Auction house max. I can't talk today. Auction house max price should equal the player gold max limit, which it does not. Yeah, it's off by like 1,000 or 1,000,000 or something. Ability to search for items based on current item stats. So basically, somebody suggested basically being able to like copy pasta an item, right? Or maybe you find a mythic item on the ground. You're like, oh shit, I want to be able to like price check or search for an item based on these specific stats and just like easily copy pasta it in. That seems like a lot of UI work, but maybe it's not. Maybe you could have like an internal copy of an item and it like creates a code for it, right? Or it's like its code, and then in the auction house you'd have a button where you can press import and you just import the code and you can search for that, basically that item specifically. Maybe be able to change the stats on it too. I don't know, but somebody brought that up. Again, it kind of goes along with the price checker. I feel like stuff like this maybe is less needed if you have a price checker. Social and online features. Adding a social tab for inviting friends, seeing who's online, messaging, that sort of thing. I think this would be a really good addition to the game, as well as having a group or a dungeon finder, right? So there's a lot of situations where maybe I want to run keys, right? I'm looking for a key rota. I'm looking for boss rotas. I'm looking for people that are just spamming zones that are looking for friends, right? Having a built-in group finder could be really cool. And really just a social tab for adding people in game instead of trying to find them on Discord or through Steam or whatever. Just having that all built in game, and then you can like invite people from there. You can right click the DM. I still don't know what the commands are to whisper people. It's all over the place. Inspect them, all that sort of stuff. Add an option for 100 player blood packs versus 30 currently. Just so everybody knows, you can get up to 250 now. Feature to see how many satanic, heroic, unholy, angelic items dropped in this season. So trackers, right? We talked about this in the last feedback. A tracker would be really cool to have in the season. People love trackers, right? This could be added to the Hero Siege Plus sub, and an idol will be like placed in your cabin that would show this information. I also think it'd be really cool to put it. Here I can just show you in game. It could also be really cool to put it in the inventory. Down here, like there's plenty of space right here. You could put like satanic, heroic, unholy, angelic, player kills, player deaths, whatever, right? It doesn't have to be huge, but you could use this little space right here for a tracker, or you could, go the cabin route, whatever. People love trackers. I think people really, really enjoy this. This was done in PoE somewhat recently, and it's great. There's so many people bought that shit. Could also include total kills, total deaths, total gold farmed, total Bifrost or angelic keys that were dropped, like any and everything that you can think of to be tracked. People love seeing that information of tracking. And you could also maybe have like a daily one, or one that's like resettable for them themselves, right? Maybe even have it on a hotkey, right? Maybe, I don't know, creating another UI, but maybe have the ability to toggle it, and like a UI opens up with all the stat information, right? And with the ability to like reset it, and then maybe have one that's like the total season. That could be really cool. That actually could be really, I would pay for that. All right, visuals and graphics. Improve ultra wide widescreen support. I don't have an ultra wide. I don't have a widescreen, but I know DM or Darth Microtransactions, he's quite a big content creator, was playing last season, and he actually quit the season. He quit after like 2 or 3 hours because the widescreen support, or the ultra wide, whatever it is in his case, it just was bad. Like the ratios were like all fucked to bits. If you need more information on that, I can maybe ask him. I'm not sure if I could just get in contact with him, but I might be able to talk to different people and see what we can pin down. Maybe go back to his VODs and find him actually playing the game and see what it looks like. But I've also have I have a buddy, Preston, that also plays on an ultra wide or widescreen that has some issues with that as well. So if you need somebody, he would be the person that I could bring in, like, hey, what's the issues? What can be fixed with it? That sort of thing. Change extreme lighting in heaven zones and chaos towers. Yeah, you go into like the heaven zone and the chaos tower, and it's blinding. It's really, really bright. Okay. Next, we have blood pack specific suggestions. Settings for reducing mob or death effect damage. Setting for increasing the gold find. I believe this was added. Allow renaming tabs. I know that you can have Hero Siege Plus, and if the Hero Siege Plus owner has it, being able to rename the tabs, like require the host to have Hero Siege Plus. I don't know. Like, I paid for the blood pack. I feel like I should be able to rename my tabs. My opinion. Add an auto sort button to the blood pack stash. Blood pack stash search functionality. So right now you can't search for an item, as well as you can't control click items back and forth. Kind of annoying. Setting for reduced merchant prices. Right? Maybe you can bring down the cost of your dimensional shards to, a tenth of their price or something. Some people want to do that. Allow the Colosseum fragment toggle to 1. This is changed, and you can do it down to 10. Shared stash across characters. Right now, if you're playing a blood pact, your personal stash tab is a personal stash tab. It's not shared. So you have to use the blood pack stash to like put items in. And there's been a lot of situations where I'll go put items in the blood pack stash to go move them to another character, right? And because the whole stash is like fucked up to where only one person can use it at a time, I'll put all my items in, go to my other character to mule, and then somebody's in it, and it's like fucking stash is working. Finally, I get access to it, and that one person that was looking, you want an item or two, and it's like there's no record, there's no transaction history, you don't even know who it is, so you have to ask around doing this shit, isn't it? It's a pain in the ass, right? So if we can get shared stashes back for blood packs, that's a W. Add chat for blood packs, that's added. Add pack notifications, that's added. Fix multi-user access in the Pact stash, right? This is when I want to be in the stash, and so does like 12 other people, especially when we have this, 250 players going in the next season. There's going to be 40 people trying to enter the blood pack stash at one time. We're going to need like multiple users support here. So next we have itemization. I don't have a ton here. Increase SS item merchant price to preserve rarity. They are a little bit low. More interesting build defining uniques that create new interactions for build possibilities. We're doing that now. I've noticed this a lot. Items like Grand Wizards, Gabriel's Chest, these are opening up new build options. Even like these one-liner affixes can make such a big difference. Like I saw the crit dot and things like that. Those are bringing flavor to items, and maybe you won't use them, right? Maybe this season we have some of the attribute to damage conversion items, like 3% vitality to magic skill damage. Maybe this season that's not a super used item, but as things shift, these items have these one-liners. Like you'd be surprised on what these one-liners can do for shifting skills and abilities and stuff like that. So just because having them available is, I think, in itself a win, right? For example, I remember when I played in PoE, I did self-chill Lightning Strike Berserker, and you would use, Malagaro's Restraint belt. It was a belt that basically reversed chill. So you would chill yourself, and then the belt would reverse it, right? Now, that belt, until that season, to my knowledge, I knew nobody using that belt. That belt was obsolete. It was a 1C, 1 alchemy crap shield, or a belt that nobody used, right? And then things change around, some things in the game change, skills change, whatever, and now all of a sudden this item is god tier and everybody wants it. So just having them in the game in general, like these one-liners can actually make quite a difference season to season. I do have a whole list of these. I sent these to Elias not too long ago, a couple months ago. It was during a time when it was already super busy, so I'd imagine that it probably got brushed under the rug, which doesn't bother me at all. But here is an affix list that you're welcome to kind of go through of just different things that I think would be cool. Maybe add in as one-liners to the game, just different ways of experiencing skills, like life reservation mechanics, ways to reserve your life and do damage on life instead of your mana, stuff like that. Class set reworks. Sets are in this weird state where they're either too easily outclassed because it takes too much time to find the entire set over just wearing an S tier Satanic, or they simply just don't provide enough value. Conditionally he's been working on a huge doc of all of the class sets with reworks to each. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Should be able to pop. He messaged me. Yeah, here. Right, he's working on a giant list of all the classes, and the current sets, new sets, as well as he's adding in some set effect reworks. I think this is a cool idea, adding an effect for wearing the whole set. I think that's part of what may be missing from sets, like giving them maybe not directly a proc, but some other value beyond just affixes, right? Like more plus skills and stuff like that. So it looks like this one for Viking Dealing damage has a 7% chance to grant you a stack of determination for 30 seconds. Determination stacks refresh their duration when a new one is gained. It stacks up to a maximum of 3, right? So it's just like a different interaction as well. That could be kind of cool. I will have a link to this in the description once he's done with it, as well as we are going to be making a full video about this, going through all of the change. Like we're gonna have a really long video going through all the class sets, talking about them, giving my feedback. I'm just kind of letting him do his thing until I jump in there with him. But he's doing a fantastic job on this. And with that being said, that's going to wrap up this feedback video for Hero Siege Season 6. My YouTube community, be sure you guys leave your suggestions and thoughts in the comment section down below. I will be adding any suggestions or feedback that I find value in or that I think would be a good addition to my document. I will be adding that stuff in here before sending this to Panic Art Studios. Now, just because you leave a suggestion doesn't mean that I'm going to automatically add it into the document. I do kind of like to vet this stuff, as this is my document. I'm putting my name on it. So I want to ensure that the things that we're suggesting are going to add some value to. Please refrain from making comments about class balancing. That is a whole other ball of wax for another video. My feedback document does not cover class balancing anywhere on it. I do not want to hear your comments about classes. If you're looking to get more involved with the Season 7 beta, come check me out live at twitch.tv/Graxy_TV. I am streaming Season 7 beta live currently. We're playing in Demon Slayer. You're more than welcome to kind of see what's going on with the new season. I would love to have you guys there. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.